My master died suddenly from an assassin who wanted to weaken our country. He was known as the best swordsman in the world, and for good reason. He could make his blade cut through anything as if it was a piece of paper. He often called his blade the Scissor Blade to emphasize that fact. When he died, he had no will and no family left. The government decided to give his blade to me, his only student. I wasn't sure why he picked me at first to be a student. There were plenty more qualified, more skilled, more diligent, more cunning, so I asked. And he said it was because I was like him, a regular person. He even went so far as to say he could only get so far because his blade could cut through anything. Not because of effort or skill, but merely because his blade was enchanted by various magicians and shamans throughout its many uncountable years of existence. I never believed him. After receiving the blade, I didn't touch it for a year or two. At first to respect his death, but then it became under fear that I didn't draw it. Fear that he was telling the truth. I tried it, and it turned out that the worst was true. It could cut anything. Wooden posts, swinging swords, flying bullets, even tanks and dreadnoughts. I became revered for succeeding my master's power. I felt more guilt and shame than one could ever possibly feel in a single lifetime. I sheathed the sword and refused to use it again. One day an asteroid came down, hurling to kill us all. The governments of the world decided to work together for an unusual change, though they chose to work together when it was too late to make a meaningful difference. I suppose there wasn't much choice with extinction on the line, and with it approaching so fast. They called upon every resource they could: gunpowder artillery, nitroglycerin explosives, and even more primitive tools like their warlocks and witches. All were ineffective. They were desperate, and I volunteered. They didn't object. They sent me on a helicopter to a suicide mission to save humanity from certain doom. The pilot hovered in the path of the asteroid as it came ever closer. The vehicle shaked and rumbled, at times overheating due to sheer proximity to the falling rock, destined to destroy us all. By some miracle, the pilot managed all the melted equipment and steadied the rumbling to a manageable extent. The flaming rock came closer and closer still. It was wide enough to block any sight beyond it, despite it not being close enough to strike yet. It came closer still. Everything rumbled. Closer. Everything burnt. Closer. Boiling heat as the atmosphere quaked. Closer. I unsheathed the sword. It arrived at the vehicle within striking range. No matter how many hexes and chants were placed onto the helicopter, it was physically impossible for it to stay steady at times like this. Yet it did. I raised my blade. I could feel enormous weight behind me, gnawing at my brainstem, gripping its talons into my shoulders and back. I could feel blisters forming and my skin burning in the asteroid's wake. I could feel death approaching. I saw thoughts of failure, but I struck anyway. And here I am, with my life flashing before me as the blade bends downward. Ah, of course. At the worst of times, I suddenly remember the worst possible thing I could remember. My master had told me long ago one minor stipulation about the blade. The blade struck the asteroid, as I remembered why he called it the Scissor Blade.